Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Now, today I am joined by the amazing Ryan Conway. Ryan, how you doing today, man?
Doing good, man. Thank you for inviting me on this chat, man.
Oh, dude, it's such an honor to have you. But before we talk about why you're here, Ryan, I would like the people that don't know you to get to know you here for a second. Ryan started RWR movie reviews 2 years ago. He reviews movies big and small, doesn't matter. Does every genre as well. He likes to cover Shudder original films, screenings, does Blu-ray hauls, Blu-ray trips to Best Buy, and some surprise vlogs here and there. Loves physical media, like a true horror fan, loves his physical media, and he does collection videos on YouTube. And obviously, guys, you're already on YouTube, and you know that I have all his social media links and his YouTube link right down in the description. So make sure you're clicking these links. Make sure you're subscribing to the YouTube and following on social media. So what gave you the desire to actually want to start your channel, Ryan?
So it was during the pandemic, and I think my wife, I think she went on vacation or something. I was just home at the house by myself, and she had talked to me about it before. She goes, "You watch so many movies. Why don't you just talk about them on YouTube and rate them and stuff?" And I was like, that's a good idea. Let's start it up and see where it can go and see where the channel can, just see how it is out there. I knew nothing going into it. I think after 2 years, like I've definitely found ways of stuff that I can improve. I actually just got a mic, so my audio will be improving here after a couple of years. So you just kind of learn, the ins and outs, how much a thumbnail means, and just certain ways of editing and stuff like that. It's a lot to learn, to be honest with you. It's a lot of networking too.
And it's funny you say that because there's so many people that I meet. They're like, "Oh, you do a YouTube channel, okay?" I'm like, "Dude, if you knew all the work that goes into doing a YouTube channel," because I put out 4 to 5 videos a week, and I have been for a year and a half, 2 years. So a lot of my downtime is editing, like you said, networking, trying to find people to bring on to talk about horror, and and still be a father, still be a husband, still make that quality time for the family. And I just got to know real quick, man, just personal side note, what was it like to have the house to yourself for a little while? That's like a huge dream of mine. Like, people are like, "Oh man, if I become a millionaire, I'm gonna go on a cruise, or I'm gonna buy a mansion." I'm like, I'm gonna send my family on vacation. I'm gonna be alone for 2 days. Like, what did that feel like to just be alone for a while?
I just kind of do. I don't really do anything different when, like, I have a son, but I have him usually on the weekends. But
Mhm.
it's just me and my wife here, and then I have some cats. But I mean, it's just kind of like doing the normal stuff I normally do: watch some movies, watch some TV, get some work done, chores around the house, kind of like the normal kind of stuff. So nothing really changed. It's just I didn't have anybody to talk to, I guess.
I would just love to be able to watch a movie without hearing "Dad, Dad, honey, babe." So I gotta say, I'm a little envious, man. So another thing about the channel, obviously you're doing reviews. Shutter is a big thing that we talk about on this channel a lot. One of my favorite movies to come out in the last 20 years was a Shutter original film. What made you decide to really want to dive into Shutter, being, in my opinion, as a horror fan, one of the best streaming services out there? What made you want to do a lot of the Shutter original films?
So I have another YouTuber. I'll go ahead and shout him out. His name is Mike from Did You See That? And he started doing screeners, and he was like, hey, you want some screeners? Like, I can hook you up and get you the email contact, and just
Mhm.
hit her up. And I've been doing screenings for over a year now, and I get a couple a month. And I love seeing like the different stuff. I love that Shutter gives that platform for smaller directors that normally wouldn't get like the attention in theaters. And their streaming service is really affordable too, and they have a variety of different horror on there. It's not like just one genre. Like, there's a ton of
Right.
different stuff. And when you get screeners, I get different stuff, from found footage to slashers to whatever the genre and case may be. They're always sending me something different each month, so I enjoy that. And I get to learn a lot of kind of like the smaller movies. I feel like I don't know how you are with reviewing, if you reviewed movies, how you
Mhm.
would feel versus like big movies versus smaller movies. I feel like when you are attacking a smaller movie, there's a lot more kind of care and tenderness that you have to kind of put in perspective, because there's a lower
Yep.
budget and it's different kind of acting and stuff like that. So I think it kind of takes that special kind of person and critic when they're reviewing those kind of movies to really
Yeah.
understand, what is going on, because it's not like something like Scream 6 in the theaters. You know what I mean?
Sure. Well, then that's a very valid point. Like if you go into Killer Sofa or Rubber expecting Hereditary or Midsommar, you are going to be disappointed. I just had this big conversation about The Mean One. We were lucky enough to get an early screener for The Mean One, and we were able to do a review on that. And I had people blowing us up like, this movie sucks. I'm like, dude, they had a small budget. You could tell they had a blast. I mean, like, yeah, the CGI blood was awful. It was bad.
It
But
was.
besides that, like, the movie was fun. Like, I sat down, I wanted a mindless slasher to make me laugh and have a good time, and that's precisely what I got with that film. Now, I brought it up a minute ago, and people that are, used to the channel are gonna be like, oh, for fuck's sake, here we go. But The Dark and the Wicked, man, like that movie.
Great movie. Great movie.
Oh my gosh, it's my favorite movie of the last 20 years. I will champion that movie. I will fight on the hill and die that is, in my opinion, the best Shudder original film we've ever gotten. And I was going to ask you, obviously you said great film, so you've seen the film. I was going to ask what your opinion was on The Dark and the Wicked.
I really liked it. I bought it on physical media. It's from the director of The Strangers. So yeah, I went Blu-ray hunting a few months ago, and I found it in another city, and I was like, I'm picking this up. I don't have this in my city. So it was a reasonable price, and I mean, it's a great movie. I enjoyed it.
It's one of the movies. I thought I was desensitized to horror, at my age, but I watched that movie like 3 p.m. and it scared the shit out of me, man. Like I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I don't ever want to eat carrots again. I'll tell you that. So we know, obviously, with you working on the channel, you are a very, very busy guy, and we know what you got going on now. But do you have anything coming up here in the near future that you could tell us about that you're going to be working on with the channel?
So I'm going to be working on my top 10 worst, or top 20. I'm doing a top 20 list because I've seen a lot of movies this year, so I can't narrow it down to just 10. So I'm going to be doing worst list and top best list. I'm going to have a review coming out tomorrow for Babylon, and I'm going to be doing a few different things in the channel. Like, I'm going to start talking about each week physical media, what physical media is coming out, and bringing that to the channel, informing people that that are physical media collectors, informing them what's coming out. And I'm going to do some other like shorts and stuff like that. I'm going to start talking about what movies are coming out each month in the theaters, just adding a little bit more content, other than reviews and the Blu-ray hauls, and just having some more fresher videos, something different to add to the channel.
Well, and by the time this airs, guys, that's probably already happening. So there's a link down here in the description that you can click and subscribe to the channel to check this stuff out. So, my friend Ryan, we know what you got going on in the future, and we know what you're doing now. But now I would like to go back to the past and talk about how horror started for you, your first horror movie. And Ryan, the first horror movie you watched was
Scream.
Oh boy. This fucking movie, man. Like it's just so good. Like it's so good. Do you remember about how old you were the first time that you had seen Scream?
I believe I was around 12.
Yeah. And this is one of those movies, and I've talked about this on the channel before. This movie, whether you love or you hate Scream, the first film and the franchise as a whole, there is no denying the impact that this movie made, not only on the horror genre, but in popular culture. I mean, this movie not only revitalized the horror genre. Look at the horror movies that came out in 93, 94, 95. And then the horror movies that came out 97, 98, 99 after the release of Scream. Scream made horror cool. It made horror, I hate to sound like an old man, but like it made it hip. It made it cool to like horror movies. And I will be forever indebted to this movie for that reason. Do you remember who you were with the first time that you had seen it?
I watched it by myself, actually, at home.
What a great way to watch it, man. I mean, and the intelligence that comes with this movie. It just completely subverted everything that we had known up until that time in the genre. I mean, we kind of had Wes Craven himself do a little bit of the meta toe dip with Wes Craven's New Nightmare. But if that movie wouldn't have flopped the way it did, if Wes Craven's New Nightmare would have been a hit, we might not have ever got Scream. That might have taken him into a whole meta Freddy Krueger universe. We might have gotten, Welcome to the Freddyverse. But because that movie flopped, we got what is Scream and what changed the horror genre forever. Now, this movie is so impactful on so many different areas, but do you remember which scene it was that affected you the most?
The beginning scene just had me hooked with Drew Barrymore. And then as soon as that title screen came up, I'm like, Scream, what is this? You know what I mean? You haven't really watched any horror movies. You don't know what you're getting into. And that first
Uh-huh.
scene, it's like, wow, that's a great way to start a movie.
Right. And especially, the little girl from ET, I got her. Totally anticipating this is the main character. She's on the poster, she's doing all the promotional tours. Drew Barrymore is everywhere. She's like, oh, there's Drew Barrymore. Oh my God, she's hanging from a tree. Like it's one of those things where, I love what Wes Craven did with the marketing of this film, using Drew Barrymore, a big name, to get out there. Hey, we want you to go out and do this. And Drew Barrymore was like, hell yeah, let's do it. Let's run it. So, it's a movie that not only is it a horror movie, it's definitely got some comedic elements to it, a lot of levity to the film. What would you say your favorite scene from Scream is?
The favorite scene for me, I would say, I just like hearing him just call and just like screw with them, like with his voice and everything like that.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I think that famous voice is really what kind of, you know, it kind of makes it a memorable film. Like you never
Mhm.
forget that. What's your favorite scary movie? You know what I mean? So just stuff like that. I mean, you just never forget it.
And I remember, being when this movie came out, we still had landlines, and star 6 7 to call your friend so they block the number. What's your
Yeah.
favorite scary movie? Fuck you, Ken. You're the only horror movie fan I know. I know this is you. Like so. It's amazing what this movie did and how it still continues to this day. At the time of filming, we have 5 Scream films. By the time this airs, Scream 6 will be right around the corner. But at the time of filming, we are up to 5. Now, which of the 5 Scream films would you say is your favorite of the bunch?
I mean, I gotta go with the first one because that really started it all.
Mhm. I You're not going to get an argument out of me. I think the first one is it's brilliant. I mean, and you look at what I love about Scream is the movie is so impactful. And now, like I said, not just with us, but in pop culture, you wouldn't have got Bride of Chucky without Scream. You wouldn't have gotten Halloween H2O without Scream. These huge franchises that were built before Scream were impacted by Scream so much. You got these meta versions of these films, your Halloween H2O, your Bride of Chucky, which I'm a huge fan of both of those films as well. Now, if we hadn't gotten Scream, maybe horror wouldn't be what it is today. Do you think, in your opinion, Scream had as much of an effect on pop culture and horror as I do?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it really jump started all that. I think just for movies, made in the '90s, and you can tell with horror how it keeps kind of changing over time as well. And I think that one, I think it also incorporated a mixture of the fact that it was really, it's meta, but it has that comedy to it as well. But it also can have its scary moments. So it has that mixture of different genres that everyone can really love it. Like it's just not just a scary movie. It
Yeah.
has different aspects that other people can like about it because it's different kind of genres mixed in, which is great because it appeals to more audiences.
Mhm. When you just brought something else up, scary movie. We wouldn't have had a whole franchise of spoof movies without this movie. Like, so I talk about how Scream, was popular in the horror world and pop culture. It created a whole spoof franchise. It created a whole nother subgenre of horror with the meta horror. And Wes Craven had a way of reinventing the wheel, whether it be the Nightmare on Elm Street, Hills Have Eyes, Scream. He had a way of just sucking you in. My wife's favorite film of all time, The People Under the Stairs. What a amazing Wes Craven film. So obviously we talk about Scream and how important that movie is to us, being your first horror movie, and how important it really was to the genre and as a whole. But now my little buddy Ghostface is here, and he has a question for you. What's your favorite scary movie, Ryan? What is your favorite horror movie of all time?
Oh man, that's such a tough question to be honest with you. Man, it's hard to pick one. I mean, I'm gonna have to go with Nightmare on Elm Street.
Mhm. And we're talking about the OG 1984, right?
The OG. Yep.
That movie, and again, for repeat viewers, fast forward 45 seconds because you know what I'm going to say. I fucking love it. I think it's the closest thing to a perfect horror movie with Psycho that you can possibly get. If you take out the last 10 minutes of A Nightmare on Elm Street with that stupid blow up doll mom getting sucked in the window and that fucking ridiculous Freddy car swallowing him up, I think it's the perfect horror movie without that. Same thing with Psycho. If you take out the ending of Psycho, and I don't mean the twist, I think the twist is fantastic. I think Norman sitting in the jail, perfect, with the skull coming over his face and then pulling the car out of the swamp, perfect. What I'm talking about is you have this iconic killer in Norman/Norma Bates that gets taken down by lightly raising his arm and falling. And that's how you capture Norman Bates. And that to me was just like such an upsetting way. And I mean, obviously Psycho, every single Scream film has had some type of homage to Psycho. That's how important that movie is. So I had to kind of put that little, 6 degrees of Scream in there for a second. So we know your favorite horror movie being Nightmare on Elm Street. We know your first horror movie being Scream. Now, what we're going to do real quick, my friend, before I let you go, we're going to bounce back to Scream. And what we're going to do is we're going to rank this movie on a skull count. Now, Ryan, we're not judging this movie on acting, production, score, direction, nothing like that. We're not being critics. What we're doing here is strictly judging this movie on how much it affected you on your first viewing. So 0 skulls being not effective, 5 being extremely effective. You can use half and quarter skulls anywhere in the middle. Ryan, what would your ranking of Scream be?
I would give it a 5 out of 5. It's something I always go back to. I own it on 4K physical media, and I'm excited that they're releasing them all on 4K. They're going to be releasing the third one soon on 4K, so I can't wait to grab that one as well. I mean, it's a franchise that has never left me, and I've always been excited with each installment. So yeah, I think it's very effective to how I view horror and how I view the franchise as a whole.
Right. And it's funny you talked about, the consistency of the franchise. When it comes to consistent, amazing, good films, for me personally, the top 3 horror franchises of all time, in no order, are Scream, Evil Dead, and Child's Play. None of those movies has that movie where I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. None of them have a Freddy's Dead or a Halloween 6 or a Jason Takes Manhattan. They don't have or Leprechaun 3 through 9. They don't have any of those in their franchise. No, Scream doesn't have that, shit movie. The worst Scream movie, in my opinion, is Scream 3. And that movie's still awesome. If you make a franchise of 5 movies at the time of filming, and the worst one of that group is Scream 3, you've done something great. You've done something right the whole way through. So I'm very excited for Scream 6. Obviously, by the time this is released, we'll be right around the corner from Ghostface Takes Manhattan. But what would you say you're most excited about with the upcoming Scream film?
To me, every time you go into the Scream film, I like to do you go in and it's kind of like, who do you think is behind Ghostface? Like just trying to find out the mystery. You eliminate, oh, it's not this person. It could be this person. Oh, it could be them too. And throughout Scream, we've had 2 killers, we've had just 1 killer. I mean, you never know who it could be, and what is up their sleeve too. So just trying to balance out the clues on who you think it could be. I think that's the best part about it.
I want to go on record as saying I believe Roman in Scream 3 did have an accomplice. I just want to throw that out there. I think we might eventually get the identity of who that was. I don't think he did that alone. I think that he had a partner in crime with him during that spree. And now for my buddy Craven Something Scary, I got to ask you, because he's on the Stu train, Stu, and he believes that Stu Macher is still alive, still kicking out there somewhere. Is Stu Macher dead, in your opinion?
I don't think he's dead.
I'm going to, just for you, Craven, oh, he's dead. He's so dead. He's more dead than any dead person that's ever been dead in the history of dead people. That TV was so heavy, and he had been stabbed already. He was feeling a little woozy here. I'm feeling woozy here. So I'm just saying, Stu Macher, goner. Capiche. He just, boo, he's gone. He's dead. Love you, Craven. So again, man, I do want to thank you, Ryan, for coming out and spending a little bit of time with me and talking about horror movies in general. And before I let you go, guys, we're at the end of the third act. The credits are about to roll and the curtain's about to drop. But before that happens, make sure you're subscribing to Ryan's YouTube and following him on social media. All the links are down here in the description. Ryan, please don't go anywhere. I got a couple more questions for you, my friend. Everybody else, as always, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.